Hello, welcome back to the Hidden Center, where we wrestle with monsters, lions, and men. I'm your host, Dennis Damone, a lover of wisdom, words, and wonders, like yourself, I hope. Now, if you're like me, you've probably been hearing about Stoicism for a good while yet. It's been on the rise for quite a bit. I remember, I think it was, my goodness, 10 years ago, I was on a backpacking trip, middle of nowhere on the AT, and ended up in a hostel with one other guy who said that he had been learning a lot about the Stoics and was trying to live his life following the Stoic rules. Now, I had no philosophical education at this time, and when he told me that he was interested in the Stoics, I was like, so you want to have no feelings and be emotionless? Obviously, that's not what Stoicism actually is about. Stoicism is a kind of meta-framing of the world in which we discover that despite all the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, we can still have a kind of inner stability, peace, and joy in the face of all of it. Great figures in history have been Stoics. Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius is probably my favorite. And of course, my own teacher, Dr. Michael Segru, who was the originator of that wonderful hour-long lecture on Stoicism. If you haven't listened to it, look up Dr. Segru, Stoicism. Getting to sit at the feet of an actual Stoic sage is quite an experience. Dr. Segru, when he had horrible medical conditions, he had cancer that he was told was terminal, that he would die within a year. He lived another 12 years after he got the terminal diagnosis because they discovered a medication that would be able to help him and sustain him. But the medicine was almost worse than the disease. He had a list of side effects longer than the label on your high fructose corn syrup delicacy. He was in so much pain all the time, and you never would guess. He would talk about going on hospital vacations when he had to miss class, and he would come back with a smile and go back to teaching us Stoicism. And that kind of joy in the midst of trials, in the face of difficulties, is attractive in a world that seems to be getting ever more complex and anxiety-ridden and difficult. People talk about first world problems. It's a derogatory term, like, oh, when I flip the switch, it doesn't always come on. Oh, poor me. Yeah, there are some people in the world who don't have electricity, but I don't want to demean third world problems. They are difficult in their own right, but it doesn't mean that our problems, the problems in our world, aren't difficult either. We don't have the strength of character, of discipline, of family connection and ties that the poor people do in other countries. Don't get me wrong, I'm not idolizing the poor, but there is a strength of character that comes from a particular kind of adversity when you have a particular path, a clear idea of how to move forward in the face of very difficult circumstances. And this is what Stoicism is offering people. Stoicism is giving people a sense of courage and confidence, that there is a way, a path of facing, as I said, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Is it enough, though? Is it enough to have mental tricks to reframe the world? Is it enough to be able to let go of all the things that aren't within your control and only hold on to the things that are within your control? This is the central Stoic idea. Almost all of life is outside of our control, and so the wise or virtuous man should not be troubled by things that are outside of his control. He should only care about the things that are within his control. Many philosophers have found this unsatisfying, insufficient, in two directions. There is the Aristotelian critique, which says that even if we have virtue, we still need external goods. We still need friendships. We still need sufficient funds to act in a magnificent way, doing great projects. We still need honor and influence as resources to draw upon, not because they're great goods in themselves. They're in fact pretty small things, but we still need them in order to do great deeds. And the happiest life is one in which we do great deeds easily and well. So that's the Aristotelian critique, specific to Aristotle. But Aristotle and Plato share another critique of Stoicism, which is that there's a limit to the happiness that can come from the Stoic approach. So think about it this way. If you're in a lot of pain, not having pain seems like the sheerest bliss. And hear me truly, a lot of us are in a lot of pain, and we need Stoic virtue and Stoic discipline to move us from the area of pain and anxiety up to this middle tier where we're no longer being pulled in 1,000 directions by 1,000 anxieties and fears. But could there be more? Could there, in addition to be the absence of anxiety and fear to the achievement of safety, could there be more? Could there be happiness, bliss, joy? Think about the last time you saw a sunset. Think about the last time you looked into the eyes of the woman or the man that you loved. Think about the joy when you see your first child, or the sheer bliss of sitting on a beach as the waves crash and the wind blows and the sun shines down upon you, or the cool breeze in a mountain. These are all, I would say, contemplative acts. I think that our greatest joys come through contemplation. A sign of this comes from what we organize so much of our festivities around. How many people gather together to watch the Super Bowl? I think humans love to look at things that are good with each other. Now, you will rightly, some of you who are good practicing Stoics, say there's nothing in Stoicism against that, and in fact it's encouraged, and all the more power to you. I have nothing against Stoics. I think that Stoicism is a great gift, but I'm not confident that it's sufficient. I think we need some of that Aristotelian understanding that we need external goods, that the man who loses all external goods is missing something. And I think we need that Platonic Aristotelian understanding of contemplation that directs us to a higher good, to looking at that which is good and noble in itself and finding our joy and our rest and, dare I say it, our hidden center there. But even with that much, Platonist that I am, I have to ask, in good Socratic fashion, is that enough? Could there be more? Could there be a way of being aware that the full flourishing of a human life requires some of these external goods, requires friendships and honors and money and resources, and aware of this Platonic Aristotelian idea that it is contemplation that is our highest benefit, and you still ask, could there be a way that even if we lost all of those things, even if we went mad and lost the ability to contemplate, even if we lost all our wealth, lost all our friends, lost all our honors, could there still be a happiness for that person? Could there be a happiness for the just man, as Socrates describes him, the man who is stripped of all of these things, whipped, blinded, and in the end, crucified? I'm not making a Christian reference here. That's actually what Socrates says, that the just man would be crucified. Can that man be happy? If any of you out there are Stoics, if any of you have been appreciating the rise of Stoicism, and believe me, there's good reason for it, if any of you have answers to that question, to that Socratic question, I'd love to hear it.